On October 15th, 2025, Raila Amolo Odinga, the man who shaped Kenya's politics for more than half a century, died in India. He was 80 years old. To many, it felt unreal. For a generation of Kenyans, Raila wasn't just a politician. He was a constant. Always fighting, always losing, yet somehow always returning. He was Kenya's eternal opposition leader, the self-proclaimed people's president, and a man who turned defeat into power more times than anyone in the nation's history. This is the story of how Raila Odinga outsmarted every Kenyan president and how, in doing so, he may have outsmarted himself. Raila was born into politics. His father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, was Kenya's first vice president, a man who broke ranks with Jomo Kenyatta and called him out for betraying the ideals of independence. That act made the Odingas political outcasts. Raila inherited his father's defiance, but with sharper instincts. After studying engineering in East Germany, Raila returned to Kenya under Daniel Arap Moi's one-party rule. He joined underground movements pushing for democracy, and in 1982, after a failed coup against Moi, Raila was accused of involvement. He was detained for nearly 9 years without trial. Those years in prison turned him into a national symbol of resistance. But the man who walked out of those cells wasn't just an idealist, he was a strategist. In 1997, when Moi's regime was crumbling, Raila made his first shocking move. He joined it. His National Development Party merged with Moi's KANU, and Raila became a cabinet minister under the very dictator who had imprisoned him. Critics called it betrayal. Raila called it pragmatism. He said he wanted to reform the system from within, but it also gave him insider access to power he'd never had before. Then, when Moi tried to handpick Uhuru Kenyatta as his successor, Raila flipped. He led a rebellion that united the opposition behind Mwai Kibaki, declaring the famous words, "Kibaki Tosha." That single phrase ended 40 years of KANU rule and made Raila the new kingmaker of Kenyan politics. But Raila's alliance with Kibaki didn't last long. After helping him win, Kibaki sidelined Raila and his LDP allies from government. By 2005, Raila was leading the No campaign in the constitutional referendum, and by 2007, he was back to full-blown opposition mode. The 2007 election was Kenya's darkest. Disputed result, violence, more than 1,000 dead. Raila claimed victory, Kibaki claimed power, and Kenya fell apart. Then came another handshake in 2008. Raila agreed to a power-sharing deal with Kibaki. He became prime minister. To some, it was leadership, putting the country before ego. To others, it was pattern. Raila turning protest into position. He had once again lost an election, yet ended up in power. It was becoming his trademark. In 2013, Raila faced Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, the same duo once charged at the ICC for post-election violence. He lost again. He went to court. He lost again. By 2017, Raila swore himself as the people's president. It was bold, defiant, and dangerous. But then, the unthinkable. In 2018, Raila shook hands with Uhuru Kenyatta on the steps of Harambee House. The handshake that was meant to unite Kenya ended up killing opposition politics. Raila's allies got government positions, funding, and influence. The man who had built his brand as the face of defiance became part of the establishment. His critics said the fire was gone. His supporters said he was playing a long game. Either way, the line between government and opposition had vanished, and Raila was standing on it. By 2024, Kenya was burning again, but this time not from tribal politics. It was a new generation, the Gen Z movement, protesting President William Ruto's tax hikes, corruption, and arrogance. The youth expected Raila, the people's president, to stand with them. Instead, he walked into State House and shook hands with Ruto. For millions of young Kenyans, it was the ultimate betrayal. The man who had once stood up to the system now seemed to be protecting it. Raila said it was dialogue. Gen Z said it was selling out. And for the first time in his career, it felt like Kenya had moved on without him. Across 5 decades, Raila Odinga perfected one political art, turning defeat into relevance. He fought Moi, then joined him. He backed Kibaki, then opposed him. He opposed Uhuru, then allied with him. He fought Ruto, then dined with him. Each handshake gave him a second life, but cost the country a little more faith in its democracy. Because if even Raila could make peace with the system, what hope was there for real change? When news of Raila's death broke, Kenya stopped, not just out of grief, but disbelief. He had become so woven into the story of Kenya that it felt impossible to imagine politics without him. Even in death, the debate raged. Was he a hero of democracy or a master of survival? A reformer who changed Kenya or a tactician who kept it from ever truly changing? Maybe both, because Raila Odinga's life was not a straight line. It was a circle. Raila Odinga will be remembered as the man who never gave up and never fully won. He outlived every rival, outlasted every government, and outsmarted every president he faced. But his greatest victory was also his greatest tragedy. He became part of the very system he once sought to destroy. Kenya's politics will move on, but Raila paradox, rebellion and compromise, hope and heartbreak will never fade. Raila Odinga is gone, but the question he leaves behind will haunt Kenya for years. Did Raila change the system, or did the system change Raila?